Let's be brutally honest. They always saw me as the shadow in the room, the quiet one, the spreadsheet slave, the soft-hearted kid who crunched numbers while they chased power, whiskey, and glory. That day in the boardroom, the air thick with cigar smoke and arrogance, my father opened the negotiation like a king addressing peasants. "Carter was always just the numbers guy," he said, smirking at my two older brothers, Mason and Grant, and the trio of corporate lawyers circling like vultures. He never had the stomach for real business. They laughed, that deep, mocking laughter that had haunted my childhood. Glasses clinked, papers slid across polished mahogany like it was already over, like I was furniture, like I hadn't co-founded this empire at 23, shoulder to shoulder with my late mother, the woman whose genius built every brick of it, the woman they erased the moment cancer silenced her. They called me minority partner last quarter. Now they were selling the company, our company, to an anonymous buyer for $72 million. They thought they'd walk away rich, untouchable. They thought I'd fold like always. They had no idea. For 4 agonizing months, I'd become a ghost in my own life. I cashed out every personal asset. I built a shell corporation in Nevada under a name born at 3 a.m. in a dark apartment. I hired proxies, staged meetings, moved money through layers of shadows no one could trace. And I transformed myself. $300,000 in facial reconstruction, vocal cord surgery to deepen my timbre, contact lenses that turned blue eyes brown, 15 pounds carved off my frame, nose reshaped, beard sharpened to a blade. I became unrecognizable, even to myself. The door opened. The buyer walked in. Custom charcoal suit, calm stride, name tag, Benjamin Ross, CEO of Ironcrest Holdings, a fiction I invented, now terrifyingly real. Mason leaned back, all swagger. "Glad you could make it, Mr. Ross. You're about to own one hell of a company." I met his eyes. I believe I am. They didn't know. Not yet. The lawyers droned through terms. Grant chuckled at the $40 million undervaluation. Buyers got the upper hand. Tough luck. I leaned forward, voice low and steady. "I suppose I do." Dad's eyes flicked to me, a spark of something. Suspicion? Recognition? It vanished behind another sip of whiskey. They signed the pre-approval, hands shaken. Mason raised his glass. To fresh starts. I lifted mine slowly. "To family," I said, the word tasting like iron. The room emptied. Lawyers stepped out. Brothers drifted to the balcony, already dreaming of yachts and vineyards. I stayed seated, fingers tracing the leather folder that held their destruction. Dad finally looked at me fully. "Connecticut, you said. Greenwich?" "Yes." "You've got familiar features." His voice cracked the tiniest bit. "Strong genes, I suppose," I replied, smooth as silk. He squinted. I opened the folder. One last document slid across the table. "Before we finalize, all previous partners must sign this indemnity release." He skimmed it, barely. Standard. Mason and Grant returned. 3 signatures, ink still wet. With that single page, they waived all rights to review the buyer's identity. No lawsuits, no reversals, no escape. I stood, removed the contact lenses, untied my tie. Grant blinked. "Wait." Mason's smirk vanished. Dad's glass shattered on the floor. "Hi, Dad," I said softly. "Miss me?" The silence was apocalyptic. Dad's veins bulged. Mason staggered back. Grant's mouth opened, soundless. "Carter," he finally choked. I smiled, not joy, but the cold, inevitable smile of a man who'd waited years for this heartbeat. I said, calm as death, "You sold your company to the numbers guy." Mason exploded. "This is fraud." "Legal," I cut in. Iron Crest is real, registered, your signatures are binding. You waived identity disclosure and the document you didn't read. Dad's face turned crimson. We'll reverse it. We'll sue. No, Dad. My voice dropped to a whisper that filled the room. The money's already gone. Shells within shells. You're not just out of the company. You're out of everything. They erupted. Rage, threats, denial. I let it wash over me like rain. I gathered the folder. You thought I was weak, quiet, replaceable. Mason lunged across the table, roaring. I stepped aside. He crashed into glass and wood. Security burst in, pinning him like the child he suddenly became. "He's a liar," Mason screamed. A lawyer rushed forward, tablet trembling. Identity confirmed. Carter Wade legally changed his name 7 months ago. Dad looked hollowed out, a king dethroned by his own discarded son. "You humiliated this family," he whispered, voice breaking. "No," I said, stepping close enough to smell the fear on him. "You sold this family for your pride. I just took back what Mom built." Grant slumped against the wall, silent tears mixing with sweat. "You played the long game," he muttered. "I had to. You never would have seen me coming otherwise." Security dragged them out. The lawyer turned. "Mr. Ross, Mr. Wade, shall we file?" Today. By week's end, the sale was ironclad. I owned 92%. Their names vanished from every door, every system, every legacy. But revenge wasn't money, it was memory. I walked the production floor where they'd mocked me, where my ideas were stolen, repackaged, claimed as theirs. I didn't fire the loyalists, yet. I let them watch the throne change hands, let them feel the silence where their laughter once echoed. The media ignited. Tech prodigal son reclaims empire in ruthless reverse takeover. They didn't know the half. Dad called. Voicemail. "You made your point. Come home." Deleted. Mason texted. "This isn't over." It was. The real blade came next. Mom's original will, the one she'd hidden in a safety deposit box only I could access. She'd known. She'd seen their greed before the cancer stole her voice. She'd left everything to me. Shares, patents, estate, the very land under the headquarters, quietly, legally. Dad forged the amended version days after her funeral, divided equally, stole her last wish. I had the proof. I sent it to lawyers, board, a journalist with one line. "Truth has a time limit. This one expired." Within 24 hours, headlines screamed, "Fraud, forgery, corporate theft, widow's will forged in $70 million scheme." Investors fled, phones stopped ringing, their faces, once on magazine covers, now on front pages as villains. The board cooperated with the authorities. My demand, return assets or face prison. They begged to settle. I refused. Let them burn. 2 weeks later, I sat alone in the boardroom where they'd once toasted their betrayal. Skyline glittering. A courier arrived. 3 letters. Grant's letter, begging. Mason's letter, threats. Dad's, handwritten. "Carter, I underestimated you. That's my shame. I thought silence would make you weak. I forgot silence makes people listen." I folded it, lit it in a crystal ashtray, watched it curl into ash. I looked at the empty chairs. This company belongs to someone with a soul now. The silence roared its approval. And in that quiet, I finally heard my mother's voice again, proud, unbroken, home. End.